for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is Ask George with our George. How are you, mate?
Fine, thank you. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you, mate. Good to have you on. And welcome to everybody in the chat. Welcome to the moderators and everybody watching. And an eventful day so far with Newcastle United heavily in the headlines. Certainly on Sky and other networks as well. Newcastle, of course, put a bid in, we are led to believe, for Hugo Ekitike, somebody who they've been chasing for the last 2.5 years. Newcastle's bid to be in the region of 70 million euros, which essentially is a record, of course, for Newcastle United, or there or thereabouts. It's been rejected by the club. Some reports saying that Ekitike, having been courted by Newcastle for the last couple of years, fancies the move, wants to buy into the project. Sounds as if, from certain media outlets, that it's been a long protracted effort, this, by Newcastle. This hasn't just happened overnight, and Ekitike bought into it. The twist in the tale today has been that Liverpool have then tested Newcastle's resilience with an inquiry, not a bid, an inquiry for Alexander Isak. We've been led to believe, if you believe Keith Downey, listening to his stuff on Sky over the last couple of hours, is that it's in the region of 120 million Liverpool would be interested in bidding if they did get down that route. Newcastle have quite quickly come out and said Alexander Isak is not for sale. So Newcastle United very firm with their statement today that Alexander Isak is not for sale at any price. So 3 years, of course, still on his contract. Bit disappointed with the way that it has been played out on Sky. I mean, I watched it for an hour today before I came on air, George. And to be honest, Keith Downey backpedaled within an hour. Really, I hate it when people say things which can be taken out of context. And what he did say was, what Newcastle United want to do is bring in Ekitike to play with Alexander Isak for at least a year. Now, why add that at the end for at least a year? Straight away, people get their backs up. It got my back up, but it's clickbait. It's where is the substance in saying at least for one more year? It's so annoying. And he came back on half an hour later, and he didn't say that. And I thought, you little tinker, you have come out and said that, and now you're saying that Newcastle are looking to get him on another contract, to extend his contract. They want him to stay. They want him to play. It's just ridiculous. And then coming out and saying that Liverpool have bid, his sources are saying Liverpool have bid. if you watch TNT or you listen to other outlets, Liverpool haven't done anything of the sort. They haven't bid at all. So this is where we're at, George. It is silly season. Usually they ignore it, but ultimately when you're doing a show, you do want to make sure that, because people in the chat are going to be talking about it, you have as many facts as you can before you at least venture into that. But George, my understanding is, as far as I'm concerned, Newcastle United have bid for a player. They want him to be there as part of the squad. They do not want him to replace Alexander Isak. You couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, and indeed, I from the off, I was slightly doubtful about the stories about Etitiki anyway, but I think that they're so firm now that you've got to accept that bit's right. But it's all these other add-ons, like you've just said, that he's coming instead, that Liverpool have bid for this and Liverpool have bid for that. Now they're saying that Liverpool are going to try and get Ekitike instead of Alexander Isak. So, it goes on a bloody big circle. It just drives you crackers. The important thing is to everybody out there, and I'm certainly not going very far with it, is that I'm still enjoying. We've had a great season. If we could get Etitike to stand beside Isak, wow, what a front line we would have. Because the options Eddie would have, he could play them two up front, he could play them alternate matches, he could swap them, during a game, and especially with Elana on the right as well. It would make our forward line one of the fastest and deadliest in the Premiership. No question about that. But it's sorting out what you believe and what you don't believe. And what's worse, and you're absolutely right, Steve, is that people that sometimes have had our respect as journalists and all the rest of it let themselves down. Let themselves down because they just want the clickbait. They just want the being able to say, it was me or it was them or whatever. And the fact is, it's none of them. The only people that know are Newcastle United, and they're not telling anybody anything, which is just how it should be. Just how it should be.
Basically, just call him Hugo, Ian says, because there is a struggle saying Ekitike, George.
Yeah.
Just call him Hugo. Why are others thinking we cannot add and keep for seasons to come? So far, we are proving to improve. So why can we not continue to be successful and keep and build? This has always been our plan. Yeah, Denise, exactly. Sky trying to make a rivalry for Ekitike, for Chelsea, now Liverpool. Yeah, Northern Golfer, you're right.
Yeah.
100%. That is what is happening. And this is what we keep saying on here. This is why we don't speculate on here. Don't play the game. Just don't play the game. Don't get carried away. I understand people will, but just keep your head and just relax and just wait and see what happens,
And Denise's point's the important one. We just want to go forward. No Newcastle fan in the right mind is going to want to see Isak or anybody else going anywhere. We want to keep our best players and add to them and make it better. And that's what would happen if Hugo came to Newcastle United. It would be a tremendous buy. But the other sceptical thing I had about when the story broke is that yes, Romano is a good source usually, but he's also been caught out helping clubs he works with by setting a story off to start a bidding war and prices being hiked up and all that sort of thing. So it's such a mess. But the important thing for us is if we get him, it would be great. If we don't, it won't be the end of the world, because I'm sure Eddie Howe's got other irons in the fire at the same time.
George, I think you and I, genuinely, if we spent our lives sitting in front of a computer, scouring the internet for stories on different outlets from different countries, French outlets, Spanish outlets, Italian outlets, wherever, right? I am pretty sure that we could do the same job as Fabrizio Romano. I don't know the guy. I've got no idea who he is, but I tell you what he does do. He puts anything out. He puts any story out. And it's so easy. Once a deal is done, he can then put it out there, here we go, etc. And it makes him look as if he knows everything about things. But you know what, George? Anybody could do that. And because he's got big numbers, on social media, because he's got a huge following now. And listen, I'm not criticizing the kid for it at all. That is probably why agents in particular probably go to him now with tip-offs, with ideas. Does he make some financial gains from it? Who knows? Do clubs go to him behind the scenes and leaking a bit of information? Who knows? But what I will say is he has to do a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot of Google Translate to get where he wants. But does he really know what's going on? He only knows as much as he's told. It's as simple as that. So I would have to agree, not entirely with Craig's point in the chat, but genuinely speaking, anybody could do that. Really, they could. And he's got himself into this position. It's a strange position to be in. John, good evening. By the way, John, I got your email. Can you reply to the email I sent you, please? Because some people say they're having issues logging on and getting the subscription for the fanzine. I know you emailed us. Can you email me the address? This is what my webmaster said. Can you email me the address that you were typing in? So if you can see it's an issue with that address. I know it isn't, because there's 3 or 4 people who have tried to subscribe and they've struggled to subscribe to the fanzine next season. So get back to us, John, at the usual email address, nufcmatterspodcast@gmail.com. So John's question was, so it looks like the Scousers will sabotage our Ekiteke deal. Hugo to George. How much do they want to spend? I think they're north of 200 million already in this window and have already paid over 100 million for a player from the Bundesliga. And we've got far more investment potential thanks to PIF. George, how much of this dribble will we need to tolerate before reason and fairness kicks in, do you think?
Well, right up to the end of the window. I'm sorry. But while Newcastle are in the market, and that it looks like it might be up to the end of the window almost, we're going to have to put up with all of this and more to come. I mean, there's even, there's not just the incomings, there's the outgoings as well. There's the ongoing discussions about Sean Longstaff and Leeds United, and all of that's going on at the same time. So it's the price we pay for being where we are, in my opinion. We're not just that little back number club up in the northeast now. We're that big club now in the northeast that's making waves for the other big clubs, and that just makes it worse for us. But we've just got to get used to it and used to the fact that that's where we are as Newcastle United now. We're up with the big boys, and it goes with the territory. So I'm afraid, John, we're going to have to put up with it for quite a long time. I think almost to the end of the window, or almost until somebody called Eddie Howe says that's it. And even then, there'll be second guessers like Romano and everybody else. He'll want to second guess Eddie Howe even when he says that. So, that's the territory we're in at the moment, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, but in some ways, to somebody that supported the club as I have for over 70 years, it's slightly refreshing that we're at the top end. We're not at the bottom end. We're not being pilloried by the same journalists because we're chasing loans that we can't afford the wages for and all that sort of thing that we used to do under Ashley. So it's nice to be at the top end where we're being pushed because we're in for big signings and not trivial stuff. But John, I think you got to be prepared for it to go on for a while yet, I'm afraid.
Okay, we did have a question from Barry. He says, George, is it me who thinks £69 million that we've bid for Ekiteke is a joke? He cost 15 million when his current club signed him. The kid didn't want to come the first time. What are your thoughts on that, George? What is your thoughts about Ekiteke? I mean, do you think we should be going back in for him?
Well, I had my doubts when it first came out, but I've sort of brushed up on what he's done since he went to Germany, and it sounds like that's been a good move. It's put his feet on the ground because he's been up there with the front runners in the Bundesliga. There's no doubt about it. Not just in goals scored, but in assists and all the rest of it, and gained a huge reputation and following. The other plus is that whether it's his agent that's leaked it or someone else has leaked it, that he seems to have bought into the Newcastle United project, which I find quite refreshing. And I would suspect that if he hadn't, Eddie Howe wouldn't go anywhere near him. So, having been slightly sceptical at the beginning because of his refusal, I temper that a little bit, because I'm still convinced, I may be wrong, that the refusal was more his agent's refusal than it was the player's refusal. Because I think the agent got a much bigger slice of the cake when he went to PSG than he would have got if he'd come to Newcastle United. And so that had a big influence, I think, more than it should have done. But no, if the tester for me, the gold standard for me, is that when he stands at the top of the stand with the scarf with Eddie Howe on one end and him on the other, and Eddie Howe saying that this is him, then that's a done for me, and I'll be happy with that, because Eddie Howe's, there are very few signings when Eddie's been in control since he came who've let us down, and I think the kid would probably work in very nicely under Eddie Howe.
I mean, the good thing is Chelsea haven't bid yet, but give them time. Give them time. They're
too worried about getting the trophy back of bloody Donald Trump, aren't they?
Yeah, that was a John.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It was a proper John Terry moment, wasn't it? I was waiting for him to put the kit on.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, Stephen says, unfortunately, until we can offer wages to rival the cartel, we will always struggle to hold on to our best players. If Isak's on 120 grand a week, realistically, he could triple that at Liverpool. Yeah, Stephen, I guess that is potentially it, but nobody knows what anyone's getting paid, really.
But I firmly believe that as we speak, as they say, Newcastle United aren't going to let him sit on 3 years for the contract he's on now. That would be next to suicide. I'd be amazed if there's not somebody in the office, PIF office, writing the contract as we talk to offer this Isak ASAP. Maybe later in the year or when we've got started. But I don't think they would leave him hanging on that contract just because it's for 3 years. Those days are long gone. I mean, it would be near suicide as far as I'm concerned. So I'd be amazed if he's left on that contract for much longer than he is now.
Yeah. Get some questions in for George. We haven't got any at the moment. So if you've got any questions for George, it is called Ask George for a reason. Please get them in. Stick them onto YouTube. We've got over, just got short of 1,000 watching live tonight. So a big thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much.
If you are watching on Twitter, please jump over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. That's all you need to do. It is free. We do 7 shows a week. Okay, Paul Chollerton says, here's an idea. Just pay the £86 million release closing offer Isak a massive pay rise. Let's show these Muppets we mean business. One thing, and I get it's what Barry was coming at before about 69 million, euros or whatever it is offered. Newcastle very rarely go in at the asking price, George. This has been a bit of a common occurrence. We didn't do that with Mark Gahey, which of course led to this long drawn out saga, and we didn't get Mark Gahey. I get it. The PSR affects Newcastle. I get it. But, sometimes it must be frustrating, maybe for those charged with going out and bringing in players, knowing that if it gets leaked, like the Gahey deal did, like the Ekatike thing is now being leaked by somebody, when it gets leaked, Newcastle's cards are laid bare, because, any rival coming in and bidding for Ekatike, for example, knows that Newcastle will be hard pushed to hit 86 million. I mean, none of us know what the budget is. Journalists have suggested that it's 120 to 150 million pound that Newcastle have got to spend this summer. We've already spent 55 million pound on one player. So, we have got money to spend, but we are aware as well as supporters that we need to spend in other areas. We know that we're actively chasing Trafford, a goalkeeper, who is in the region of 15 to 25 million. Deal to be done, of course, if the deal can be done. We do know as well that outgoings help. So money coming in will help Newcastle United in this particular transfer window, and that money will be made available, of course, for transfers. But are we really in that kind of position still where we just can't get things over the line, dare I say, George?
Well, I think we're better off than what they're letting us know publicly. Don't forget, we've had 3 absolutely fallow windows, and then once we got to the new cut-off point in July, we automatically became, what was it, 70-odd million better off anyway, because certain things dropped out of the accounts. So I think we've got a little bit more than they're letting people know publicly, and that we would have the means to have a go for Hugo from PSG again. I don't think it's a bad policy to test the water with a slightly lower bid. The Gehi thing was all about one person, wasn't it? It was Parish just wanted the publicity for Crystal Palace, and it's backfired on him in many ways. So he's getting the sort of publicity he doesn't want at the moment. But I think being prudent as they are with finance, I don't think they would ever just go in and offer what's being asked without actually seriously negotiating and negotiating all sorts of add-ons and all the rest of it to get to where they want to be. So it doesn't surprise me at all that we haven't gone in with the asking price. You know, it would just make things every time we go in, people would expect the same. But so I think we've got a little bit more to listen to this one.
Yeah, our PSR isn't a problem. The bad year isn't part of our 3-year cycle, but the sales are. Win-win. We have money, just not shouting about it. You have to remember that these clubs are trying to hamper the progress of Newcastle in any way possible, including PSR. Let's just keep growing and challenging, says Northern Golfer. And the spectre of Andy Cole's sale haunts our fan base, says Paul. This time, though, Eddie wants Isaac to remain. And Denise says, if you go in with the asking price, it will move up, guaranteed. Craig says, budget must be more than 120 to 150 when we bid 70 for Hugo and already paid 55 for Elanga, says Patrick. Yeah, I would agree with you, mate. I'm just quoting, I think it was Mark Douglas. In fact, it was Mark Douglas on Twitter suggested that we had that amount to spend, Patrick. So just pointing you in the direction of a journalist who has actually put his neck on the line and put his head above the parapet with that. Craig, he says, question for George and Steve. Steve will tell you, I'm often out with the dog. Where is your favourite place to walk in the northeast, George?
Oh, it's 2 places. It's got to be the coastal walk from St Mary's Island, either direction. St Mary's Island back to Tynemouth takes some beating. It's some of the most beautiful beaches in the country. And then if we want to go to the countryside, then from my scouting days and camping days and all that sort of thing, Margie and I used to love the College Valley in Cheviot, and you can walk up the College Valley right up the top of Cheviot and see the ruins of the crashed aeroplane and all that sort of thing. But the prize at the top, if it's a fine day, is unbelievable. Because if it's a really clear day, you can actually just see the sea from the top of Cheviot, and that's a real joy to anybody from the northeast, in my opinion. So there's two that we used to love.
I love Tynemouth Beach. I love Bamborough as well. Bamborough's a great walk.
Bamborough's great as well. Yes, yeah.
And going up to Wylam is quite nice if you've never done the cycle path. You know, up to Wylam. But there's loads of great walks. We're spoiled for choice in the northeast.
We are indeed.
Waldo says, as Ekatike said, he would be willing to join us. Waldo, that has been reported that he is keen and buying into the Newcastle project. But how true is it, Waldo? How true is any of this? We don't know. We know that Newcastle have placed a bid and it's been rejected. That's what we do know. It's as simple as that.
All we know is that he's made it known either through players or through an agent that he likes what he's being told and he likes what he's seen. And let's face it, I would just send him Elanga's little video that he made. Send him that, and he'd come tomorrow. That's a beautiful little video, for anybody that's got any doubt.
You know what, genuinely speaking, this could have all been much further down the road than anybody really knows. I love that somebody posted there. For any playing spotters out there, Hugo Ekitike's agent plane is still on the tarmac in Austria, which of course is where Newcastle are training. So that's a positive sign. Unless they decided to get a boat or something to Liverpool, for ferry across the Mersey perhaps, to go and see Liverpool, who knows. But look, all of this talk of bidding wars and this, that and the other, absolute rubbish. I can't wait. As Ian Brownlee says, Agent Asula at it again. I can't wait for Asula to come out and say that he's best pals with Ekitike. That would be great.
Yeah.
In fact, it's time for David Ginola and Johan Kabay to get involved.
Absolutely.
Get them involved. Get them on the phone and tell them what it's like in the big market and nights out on the quayside. That's what they want. Come on, David. Come on, Johan. Get your fingers out. Tell them how good it is to play in front of us, lads, and how bad it is if you reject Newcastle, not once but twice. So get yourself to the tune, Bonnie lad. That's what we're saying. I used to be able to see the Cheviot from the top of my tower block on Westcott Road, says Popple Images. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Listen, ignore the noise. It's simple, says Jules, which is a very good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Craig says, Asula has been a great director of football so far, which I agree. Welcome back to Andrew, who is in the chat. Seeing you there, Andrew. Obviously, more internet issues, but he is back again. Good to see you. Barry says, guys, are you concerned that the Trafford deal's gone quiet? George, are you bothered that that's gone quiet?
Not really, because there are similar issues too with Elanga, aren't there? There's complicated sell-on clauses and all sorts of things with Trafford as well. So that with the agent issues may well be what's put the stumbling block in. But no, I'm still convinced that if we want him, he'll come. I'm still convinced.
I think half the problem could be, George, that Newcastle are still trying to offload Sean Longstaff. There has been quite a bit of noise around Leeds United coming in once, twice, three times and being rebuffed on all bids. Talk of them potentially coming back in for a fourth one. But there has been a link to Burnley as well. Potentially, they may be looking at a cash and player deal. But I'd imagine Newcastle want cash for Longstaff. Somebody put something in the chat. It was Barry. He said, George, I don't get Longstaff being worth only 12 million. How much would you rate that?
Well, I was amazed when I seen that, because Sean Longstaff, because of the way he's played and the way he's come through, surely he's worth 20 million of anybody's money, I would have said. I'd hot off the press, I'd rarely do this. I had my feet done this morning by podiatrist, who happens to be the podiatrist of Sean Longstaff's granny. And Sean Longstaff's granny this morning told my podiatrist that Sean's off the Leeds.
George,
take that for what it's worth.
That'll be back page of the Chronicle now tomorrow.
Yes.
George spreading rumours now. It's no good, this. But yeah, interesting stuff. Look, I do think Longstaff's worth 15 million, Craig. That's what I would have had him down as. But I do think Newcastle do want the fair market value for Longstaff. You can't blame them at all for doing that. That's it. Craig's calling you in the know. Big Aggie says the Mackhams want Trafford now. He'll not go on there, Big Aggie. Dear me, surely.
Goodness gracious.
Couldn't see that at all. That would really set the cat amongst the pigeons, or the black cat amongst the magpies if that came off. Okay, we are halfway through the show. That's flew over. John asked you. I found your questions in the email and your address. Thanks for sending that. We'll have a quick ad break back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. And don't forget, we are having a bit of a get-together at the end of this month at the Tyneside Irish Centre, where Sam Fender did the launch video for the latest strip. It is only open to 100 people. You must register for the event. It is free to come. nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk is the website that you need to go to. And we've got 36 tickets left. Everybody who enters out of those 100 people gets the opportunity to go into a free prize draw to win this. Which is a replica medal of the Carabao Cup final. A nice little montage in a frame. We are going to have quite a bit of signed memorabilia there on the day, so should be a cracking day. And we are aiming to raise a few quid for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia Unit. And don't forget as well, the fanzine. All proceeds of this, of course, are going to Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. Again, United Group Travel have come on board and they are our official sponsor, so they are paying for the printing bill, which means that every single penny that we raise from this goes towards the dementia charity. 4 issues next season. It is a paper fanzine. It's the only one at this moment in time. Nobody else doing a hard copy. 4 issues for £25. That includes your postage, and they are posted out over the course of the season. Some great stories, some great stuff in that last season. More of the same next year. We have had 48 subscribers, but we do need at least another. It'd be nice to get up to 100 at least. We had 200 last year, but it'd be nice to get up to 100 before the start of the season, just so we can hand over a nice little amount to Age UK. So there you go. nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk is where you need to go for the fanzine subscription. Okay, let's find one of John's questions. Here we go. John emailed us this. He said, we seem to have a sizable number of really good players under the age of 25, and transfer targets seem to be young as well. Do you think there's a chance we'll have a realistic chance in 2 or 3 years' time of finishing higher than one or more of the top 3? Are we going to win the league, George, with youngsters like Man United did in the 90s?
Oh, that would be wonderful. The Busby Babes, my goodness. I mean, they weren't even 20. Some of them were teenagers. In fact, the greatest of all, in my opinion, Duncan Edwards, was, I think he was 17, something like that. So, no, I don't think we're going to get that clever. But it wouldn't surprise me if, with the talent in terms of coaching that Eddie's got, and slowly introducing these kids. I mean, what a revelation Lewis Miley's been, for example, and I think we've still got the best of him to come, in my opinion, because he'll have had that teenage growing spell while he, during the last close season, and I'm expecting great things of him. So, and from all the things that I read about what's happening at under 23 and under 21 level, we're beating everything that's set up in front of it at the moment. And that includes some of the people who have been brought in recently, like the lad Harrison from Manchester City, who's starting to show his mettle, and even the Australian Kual is getting rave reviews again. So it wouldn't surprise me if slowly but surely over the next 2 or 3 years there are 1 or 2 shining stars come out from that squad of players. It would be brilliant. I mean, think of the money it would save, never mind anything else. But it would be good, and it wouldn't surprise me, because there seems to be a lot more input and a lot more effort going into making sure that these kids are getting the right sort of attitude. The one thing we really needed to do, and I haven't heard any changes, is I was unhappy about the loan situation. We did some strange things in the loan situation, and part of that was down to our loan manager, who's Shola. I hope there's been a revision of that, and we don't do some of the silly things we did. Well, with Kjol, in fact, he went to Hearts, and that was a disaster. So it wouldn't surprise me if 2 or 3 years' time we have a team of good mix of old and young performing for Newcastle United. It would be brilliant, but it wouldn't surprise us at all.
Barry Hogan says, George, would you rather see us go for Scalvini or Gahey in the race for a centre half?
Scalvini. I've dug out bits and pieces of video watching him, and he's, in my opinion, he's a better defender than Gahey. So I would if he's coming, that's how I would like to come. And the fact that there's the Italian connection, of course, with Tonali, who they played together and right up from youth levels. So there's a connection there that's a help. But if straight answer to the question, Barry, is I would prefer Scalvini. He looks like a better defender than Gahey is.
Okay, Blue Rhythm Boy says, George, Elvis or Johnny Cash?
Oh, that's a hard one. Come on. I can say what I like now, because my Marge's been sitting on a chair. She'd have been shouting Elvis now down my throat. Johnny Cash, I've got to say, just marginally. There's just something about the range of things and the not just the music, the humour in what he used to do as well, and what a sensible guy. And I actually have seen Johnny Cash live, which also influences me. I would love to have seen Elvis as well, but I actually did see Johnny Cash. So Johnny Cash for personal reasons, but I can tell you, I would get right in my ear if my Margie was sitting in that chair at the moment, because Elvis was her really top star. She number one, because she was rock and roll. Was my Marjorie. So actually, can I digress a little bit, Steve? We're talking about dementia. My Marjorie had a terrible time for 7 years with Alzheimer's, and one of the things that she used to love and kept her going was she used to love to sing at night before she went to sleep. And so she used to like to sing Elvis and all of that, and some of Johnny Cash as well. And so I used to download the lyrics so I could join in. And anybody passing our house at night and could hear through our open bedroom window, they'd wonder what the hell was going on with Margie and I having a duet. And quite often it was either Johnny Cash or Elvis Presley. There you are. There's a bit of information.
Yeah, okay. Talk of Newcastle improving their offer, breaking at the minute, which, again, if Newcastle have improved their offer, happy days. Somebody in the chat just said, I can see this being sorted out. There we are. Geordie's at St James's. In my opinion, I think the Ekitike deal will be sorted out either way by tonight, which, listen, it'll be interesting. Scalvini for more than one reason. I never want to help fund Parish ever again. Yeah, I can understand that either. Somebody said, keep down, he's on Sky again. Somebody said, ask him What's he saying? He's regurgitating the same rubbish. Gary,
Yeah.
I did laugh at that. Newcastle are still interested in Ekitike. Of course they are. They're not going to go this
No.
far and say that they're not. So it will be interesting to see how it all pans out, though. Blue Rhythm Boy did ask another question: will Eddie and Jack Ross cover Mitchell's role between them? Meaning we don't recruit a director of football. Do you still think we'll have a director of football, or do you just think the urgency? Do you think the foot's come off the pedal and there isn't an urgency, George?
Well, I there's a little bit of me when Jack Ross was appointed. I thought, yeah, that's a buffer. That's not an appointment as director of football, but it's a buffer that Eddie Howe would accept in the time being. And it seems to be working very well. And Jack Ross seems to be quite a sensible guy by the sound of it. So it maybe will get a director of football eventually, but I don't think it'll happen until this window is finished. I don't think they'll want to do anything that might distract Eddie Howe at the moment. So I think people will just have to be patient. And it may be a director of football that doesn't look the same as a Mitchell or the other guy. I mean, they may be feeling that they've got their fingers burned, having gone down that road once. But I think somebody will come in, but it'll be in a slightly different role to the one that Mitchell had, and working alongside or with Jack Ross and Eddie, and it will have a big Eddie rubber stamp on it. I'm quite certain about that.
Yeah, Eddie does seem to have a knack of getting who he wants, either immediately or in 3 years. He is persistent. And Gavin, I mean, this amount and PSR, it doesn't come into it, Gavin. For me personally, I genuinely don't think Newcastle will sell Alexander Isak, and I just think it was mischievous. I mentioned it at the top of the show. Very mischievous of Keith Downey to say that Newcastle want to bring Ekitike to play alongside Isak at least for next season. I mean, it just fuels the fire, and Newcastle don't want to sell Alexander Isak. It's as simple as that, and they've come out and said it. What more does anybody need to hear, really?
And things like that discredit himself, really, nobody else, because it isn't going to happen. I mean, it just isn't going to happen, and he should know that.
He's too experienced in the job not to be. We all make mistakes. We can all make mistakes and say things maybe in the spur of the moment. The fact that he backtracked on it quickly makes us think maybe he did say that. But when you're on the spot and you've got to speak on camera, but he's so experienced that. I'm going to give him. I'll give him a buy on this. But if he does it again, we'll see. Craig said the Liverpool approach for Isak and going for Ekitike makes no sense. They just told Ekitike he's second choice, and they'll drop him like a stone if that comes along, which is probably why he wants to buy into the Newcastle United project. Gary says, I did see someone had an idea that could be PSR and increased player income is to offer huge advertising deals in the Middle East. Anyone else heard of this? We discussed it on the Amigos a couple of weeks ago, George, didn't we? Yes, we did.
And that's the other thing. I think there's all sorts of things hanging in the background that people are working on at various levels. And I think as this season opens out, we're in for some surprises, I think, because there's so much that could be done. I mean, you just need to listen to Stu Penman and Owen Neal when they're on the professionals. The things that they talk about, and they're not professionals in the sense that that's their business, but the things they know from that part of the world. They've been to things where they know people who work in big companies who would be happy to pay a few £1,000 just get their name associated with Newcastle United, and lots of them. So, I don't believe that people aren't doing something, but Mr. Silverstone's got to pull his finger out this year, certainly.
Yeah, certainly has. Andrew says, George, other than football, what are your favourite sports that you like to watch?
Oh, at the moment, the cricket's revived itself. I mean, it's what we're watching now is real cricket. I'm not a fan of these 100s and T20s and where they just hike the ball and all that sort of thing. What we're watching at the moment between India and England is real cricket for me, and so exciting. I like a little bit of the tennis. it's nice to see new people coming through in the championships. There are one or two sports that have lost a bit of their shine for me. Boxing, one of them, horse racing's another. I do like the darts and the snooker when it's on the telly. It's they're so easy to understand and not complicated, but can be very, very enjoyable to see people applying their skill in the way that they do.
Posty Street Henderson says, my favourite walk was up to Line-Up Spout.
Oh, yes. I can't argue with that. I can understand why you would say that, but it just happens to be that part of the Chivits was the part that Marjorie and I liked.
Yeah, Jules says it was a nail-biting finish to the test match. Yeah, it certainly was.
It was.
John says, does George think there might be a problem at the local council end regarding the new stadium, and should negative councillors be outed?
Oh, dear. Well, the difference to this time, that when they had problems, John Hall had problems with, is that the council at the moment's got no money. And they would love a deal with PIF. And I mean, we're not just talking about the stadium planning. PIF have promised to put lots of money into the city infrastructure, and already have in some areas as well. And the club already been very generous in terms of helping the council in other ways. You know, before Amanda left, you know, we paid a whole year of free school meals for all the children in our city. That's not a bad start, is it? So this is a very personal view. I've got no other reason to say it other than my gut feeling and my sense of what Saudis are like to work like. Because in my business, they've always been great. And the one thing about them is straight and true. If they say they're going to do this, that's what they do, and they stick to it. Well, my theory, and it is only a theory, and to the people who want to save the park, for God's sake, write them a letter and ask for the help. They'll help you save your park. My theory is that we all been debating on here and elsewhere about, do we want 65,000, do we want 75,000, do we want 80,000? Well, we've got a chairman who keeps telling the world that he wants Newcastle United as number one. And I can't help but wonder if somewhere in Saudi Arabia there isn't a little man drawing diagrams of 100,000 stadium so they can be up there with Manchester United and Arsenal and Tottenham and do all the things that they do, especially as it will be a multi-sport stadium. We're not going to get just a football stadium. It's going to do everything. And they will want it to be the best. They will want it to be the shiniest and the best. And that, to me, my theory is that's part of the reason why they did the announcement slightly delayed, because they want to be sure they get what they want, not just what people think we want.
Okay, a few questions still coming in. We'll try to get through as many as we can. Denise says, is George looking forward to the darts, and who is his favourite player, and prediction on who will win?
Oh, well, I mean, the young lad who's playing, you know, out of his skin at the moment, and his name's gone out of my mind, is in my views the favourite. But there are one or two who are knocking on the door. It's such a good even competition at the moment. You know, some of the Premiership darts that's on it's difficult to call. But Little is my favourite. Is the one that I think will come through. And if you think what he's done in the short time he's been in the game, you know, he's knocking down records for people like Phil the Power Taylor and things like that, that people thought would last forever. Well, he was knocking them sideways, and so that's who I think will come through and be the one to watch.
Okay, ask George, do the Saudis not like to haggle over money? Is it in their DNA, perhaps?
No, yes, they'll haggle if there's an opportunity to do so. But once they've made their mind up, that'll be that. I have to be careful. No, I don't have to be careful because it's past and gone. I signed the Official Secrets Act, so they'll send somebody from MI5 to shoot us tomorrow. I was working on a contract for ships for Saudi Arabia, and they laid down what they wanted and what they didn't want, and so on. And they right down to the furniture on the doors, the handles, and that sort of thing. And we were having a meeting. And the guy that was in charge of their group went around and came into the meeting room and said something in Arabic, and they all stood up and went off. And the manager come back and he said, they've been around the ship and they don't like the handles on the doors, and they're told what to get them done. So they told them to keep the ship. So they went home, and the shipyard was left to sell this bloody ship. They did, because it was a good one. But they just said, right, okay, you won't do what we're told. Well, that's it. We don't want it. Keep it. And that's the kind of thing you've got to put up with. When they say they want it, they want it. And that's what impresses me with Al Rumaya. He keeps uttering this Newcastle number one, number one, and that I think that's if you know the people that come on with doubts and say, are they going to let us down? Are they going to do this? I honestly can't see them letting us down. If in the next 5 years Piff let us down, I'll walk naked round St James's Park.
My God. You'll have George's Angels in palpitations in the chat tonight. Kenneth Watson says, George, anytime you want a new stair handrail, please give me a shout. I will just charge you the travel time. Be it said, I'm from Scotland. So if you ever want a handrail, give Kenneth Watson a shout.
Well, that's very kind indeed. That's very kind. Thank you.
There you go. If George could handpick 3 clubs to be relegated from the Premier League this season, who would he want to punish?
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, the other United would certainly be one of them.
Manchester United.
Yes, and wouldn't it be incredible if a team that got into the Champions League suddenly found itself fighting relegation? Tottenham. It's time that some of the so-called big clubs had their comeuppance, and it all in football it does take its turn. And the other one, simply because I can't stand the people who run the club, and I feel sorry for the supporters, is Crystal Palace.
Well,
they're so obnoxious in the way they've dealt with all sorts of things. It all goes down to Parish and Jordan, who's on Talk Sport. If that would be my wish. Palace, Tottenham, Manchester United. Wow, that would be fantastic.
I'd send Villa down instead of Spurs. I've got a soft spot for Spurs on occasions. We usually hammer Spurs. So I'd send Villa down purely for competitive reasons. I'd send Crystal Palace down for continuing to put out the stupid Saudi flags, and I'd send Man United down just to wind Melly up. They might not come back, Man United. That's the problem.
Well, tell you what, the way they're going financially, they're going to have to look over their shoulder.
If you do streak, can you borrow a set of Neil's Budgie Smugglers? Says Blue Rhythm Boy, please.
There's plenty in the house.
Eamon joined us late, but he is in the chat. Good evening, mate. He says, George, I love snooker. Who was your favourite player? I come from Ireland. We've had a few decent players in the past. My favourite player used to be Hurricane Higgins. He was brilliant. But Ronnie O'Sullivan's my favourite now.
I don't need. Yes, but I think in terms of actual play, you've mentioned the one that I used to love to see, Hurricane Higgins, and even my old mum when she was alive, and snooker was big on the telly. She loved Alec Hurricane Higgins, and so did I.
I tell you what, I liked Dracula.
Yeah. Oh yes, another good player, but didn't have the charisma that Higgins had. I don't think.
No, there's been some great. I mean, it was when it started to make that breakthrough, the Dennis Taylor, Steve Davis final really changed the sport forever. And of course, the Warrens, not the Warrens, the Hearns come in and changed it. Yeah, with his tab and double in hand, Craig, honestly, those were the days, man. Jimmy White, yeah, Blue Rhythm Boy, Jimmy White was great as well. He still does the circuit now. Been some great players, man. Characters, that's what you remember. Characters, absolutely superb. Barry says, which bit of the cup final will you like most watching again at the Irish Centre, George?
Oh, it's got to be the Dan Burn goal, hasn't it?
Same for me. I've been watching it again today, believe it or not.
I'm have a sneaky look every now and again, but that lead up to that goal, I mean, we got a couple of corners and it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. Yeah. And what really astounded me was that Liverpool just played it out. They just left the smallest man marking the biggest man. And I couldn't understand Slot letting that happen. And for once, the corner was right on the money and right on Burns' head. And the incredible thing is it isn't just a knock-in header. It's nearly from the edge of the penalty area. It's a hell of a header to get it there. And I'd give you a contrast. Go back and look at the 55 final against Manchester City when Jackie Milburn headed his unusual goal in. And it's about from nearly the same spot. It really is. I mean, just incredible. Dan
I've always kept that goal there, so I wasn't planned tonight. And just as soon as you mentioned it, I thought, I've got it. It. Fantastic.
Dan Burns' goal. Yeah, the other goal was great as well, mate, because the cross was spot on, and Murphy's header out jumping the Liverpool defender, and Isak pulling away from Van Dijk, the so-called greatest defender in the world. He wasn't within a yard of Isak. Isak just left him for dead and guided the ball into the net. So that was good as well. But the Dan Burn one was more than special. More than special.
Last question tonight is from John Askew. He says, many supporters generally hate players feigning injury to waste time, but it happens all the time. And the authorities basically do nothing about it. In rugby, they allow the trainer on the pitch to deal with this, but continue the game at the same time. That would solve the problem quickly in football, in my opinion. What's George's thoughts?
I think you get away with it in rugby because there are periods of time in rugby where the game's a bit more static, whereas the quick movement of the ball from on people's feet, which means the ball travels the length of the pitch very quickly. Where in rugby it doesn't. It's going to hand and it's stopping and so on. So no, I wouldn't like that, because then you'd have ball striking trainers and this sort of thing. We've always already got this nonsense of the ball striking the referee has to be, picked up and dropped and all the rest of it. No, I think I agree with what you're saying though, and the one thing that they've had to do, and it's right to have, is that we have to have this stop for head injuries.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it's time referees were given some instruction and how to recognise a real head injury and not a real head injury, because there are one or two that I've seen recently on there that, to say that they're feigned or faked is putting it mildly. They just drop to the ground like a stone for no reason at all. And so it's good to have these things, but they've got to be monitored very carefully. But no, I don't think trainers on the pitch in football would be sensible.
Set your alarm early. I will be doing an Ask Steve show in the morning at 8:45. So set your alarms and hopefully have some more news about Ekitike. Who knows? Maybe Newcastle will have got the deal done overnight and we can all rest easy as we go into the new season. But just want to thank everybody in the chat for the great questions. Thanks to John for emailing them over to us. And thanks to George for his time. Look forward to seeing you all again early in the morning.
It's really, really great. I do enjoy it, and you're very kind to us. So,
and George, just like to hear how many are watching. 1,581 watching live tonight.
My goodness.
Amazing numbers. And those of you watching on Twitter, jump onto YouTube, search NUFC Matters. Hit the subscribe.
Always remember, I don't mind answering questions about anything. It doesn't have to be football, but I'm here, and as my son often says, he calls himself a gobshite. Well, you know why. You know where it comes from. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Steve. Do enjoy it.
That's the end of us, George.